everyone, and welcome to Marketing and Sales Over Cocktails, the weekly podcast that helps you grow your business, improve your life, and enjoy yourself along the way. I'm your host, Alan Langer, and every week we try to bring you the best thought leaders, the best business leaders, and the best minds out there to help you succeed in business and in life. So sit back, relax, grab your pad, your pen, and your favorite beverage, and enjoy the next episode of Marketing and Sales Over Cocktails. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marketing and Sales Over Cocktails. This is your host, Alan Langer. We are into the 2020 new year, and I've got a really good guest to talk about some motivational and high-performance activities today. And his name is Jeff Wickersham. But before I get to Jeff, I just want to mention the couple of notes that I always start with on the podcast. The podcast website is marketingandsalespodcast.com, marketingandsalespodcast.com. And don't forget the Ask Alan segment of the show. This has been awesome. I get about 10 to 12 questions a week. So send in a question to the show. Just use the contact form on the website. And if I read your question on the air, you get a signed autographed copy of my book sent to you directly. And we've got a really good question coming up as we enter 2021 from a gentleman in Battle Creek, Michigan. I love how we're all over the place. And so we'll get to that question at the end of the show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my good friend. We met on LinkedIn, as I do most of my guests. Jeff Wickersham, how are you? Welcome to Marketing and Sales Over Cocktails.
Alan, I am fantastic. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And Jeff, we start every show, at least the shows that people join me for a cocktail, with what you're drinking. So I have a little Chianti tonight. Oh, look at you. What do you got there?
I've got a Malbec. So.
A Malbec. Well, here's a virtual cheers. Your Malbec, my Chianti. Cheers. Thanks for being on the show. And let's get into this. Actually, Jeff is he lives near where I grew up. I grew up in New Jersey, and he's in the southern end, kind of near Philly. He said he was at Ocean City, New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so recently with his kids. So, Jeff, tell us about yourself. You are a what you call a high-performance coach, and the name of your business is Morning Fire Coaching. Every time I've seen you online, you have that Morning Fire logo shirt, which I love. So tell us a little bit about that. And I know that when I was on your podcast, we talked about morning routines and stuff. So give us a little background on what that all means.
Absolutely, Alan. So it's all about bookending your days, right? How does that last 30 minutes of the day look like? How are you setting yourself up for success in the morning? And then what does that first 30 to 40 minutes look like in your day? And this kind of high performance habits coaching and all around the morning routine, the morning fire routine that I call it, it organically grew out of pain and frustration. So I was a local gym owner for about 5 years, and people would put in applications to see me. And of that 100 people that put in applications, 15, 20 might pick up the phone, answer a text, answer an email. And it was a pain point, right? Why is this happening? And what I came back to was so many people are stuck in their patterns, stuck in their habits and routines, and they can't mentally get out of it. And it's pretty powerful, because up to 95% of what we do is driven through our habits and rituals, meaning it's on autopilot, right? The mind has a limited capacity. So whatever it can automate and basically kind of put as a computer program, move to your subconscious mind, it will. And so many people are stuck in that never-ending treadmill, that Groundhog Day, day after day. And I landed on, hey, how do you start your day? How do you start in control? And what does that first 30 to 40 minutes look like in your day?
So you said these people filled in an application to join the gym?
To come in and see me, yes.
To come in and see you. So they got the little kick of motivation, and then only 15% followed through with it.
Yes, correct. And that was after multiple phone calls, texts, emails, video, and it was such a pain point. And I'm like, how do I solve for this, right? And that's really what organically grew out of it, is hardwiring people to be able to get success and have the habits that set them up for success.
Well, what's fascinating to me, and this was actually a part of my book, because I have an ending. The ending part of my book is some motivational stuff in there, which you've seen. Mm-hmm. But one of the things when I was doing my research is, I think when I wrote the book, 94% of people who buy motivational or self-help books or CDs or whatever now, podcasts, 94% don't complete them. There's only 6% of those people. And when you look at when they actually follow these people, those are 6% of the most successful people that you can find. So it goes right into what you're saying.
That is a staggering statistics, right?
It really is, isn't it?
And it's why so many people get inspired for a day, 2 days,
right,
motivated for a day, 2 days, but then they fall back into that comfort level. And that's what the mind inherently craves, right? Two of the basic principles that the mind craves are safety and certainty. Well, if you're getting out of that and you're trying to do something new, you're trying to grow, the mind's going to stop you because unfortunately the mind still thinks you're in a cave and there's a saber-toothed tiger ready to kill you. So anytime you get out of that comfort, out of that certainty, it'll snap you back. And I mean, think about that, 6%.
So yeah, I actually had to double check my research because I found it in multiple places that, you know, some people had it at 97%, 95%. So, but it definitely is the high to mid 90s of people that don't complete. And you know what? When I think back on it, before I was able to finally corral, I guess, my brain, I was part of that 96%. I would buy a shit ton of books and CDs and courses and never finish them. Or how many, you know, self-help books you're in Barnes and Noble and you're like, oh, you get pumped up, you buy this book, you read half of it and then you forget about it. So it's like everybody does it.
Everybody does it, and you're not alone. And it happens the same thing when you go to like a 2-day, 3-day seminar retreat and you have all this, you know, you're around this people, around this energy, but then you're left to go back and hold yourself accountable. And we inherently let ourselves off the hook all the time. We'll hold other people accountable, but to hold ourselves accountable to actually executing and doing the work, that's where the rubber meets the road, and it's very difficult to do.
So, all right. So since I've got your attention and you're on my podcast and you can't escape, give us some. So how do you start? How do you get on that road to stay motivated and to you know, finish that application to the gym and meet with you, or finish that seminar? What are the things you have to do?
So a couple of things I would recommend is, one, starting small, right? And anything you try and tackle to build a habit, you've got to start small. And 2021 is upon us. So many people are going to say, oh, I'm going to exercise 60 minutes a day for the entire year. You're setting yourself up for failure, especially majority of those people will say that might not have exercised for 5 years. There's just no way you're going to accomplish that. So go for a walk for 5 minutes for a week. Once you feel that action, that'll inspire and motivate you a little bit more. It's a circle, right? And so many people feel like, I need motivation, inspiration to get going. No, actually take action. And then you're going to feel good about yourself that you did it. You're going to be more inspired. You're going to be more motivated. Then you're going to take more action. And that's really a loop that you can get into if you start small. The second one I would say is make whatever you're going to accomplish public. So put it out there on Facebook, social media, tell your friends. Odds are nobody's going to care if you don't do it, but there's a subconscious switch that happens. You inherently don't want to look like a liar to everybody.
Right,
and so
right.
Put it out there. You know, we always think everybody's looking at us, where 9 times out of 10, many people don't care what you're doing or don't see your post.
Right.
But if you put it out there, it's crazy the switch that happens internally, and you're going to follow through with your words. So those are just two pieces to kind of start small and make it public, and you're going to be much more likely to actually follow through with what you want to do.
I love that. And the point you made about nobody cares, it really is true. Like I would tell, I have 2 daughters and, you know, my middle one, you know, they all go through you know, now it's social media, but what do I look like? And, you know, I look terrible in this dress or this sweater or these pants. And I remember saying to one of them, this was a few years ago, I'm like, when you're outside and you're looking at people walking in the street or in Providence, do you care what they're wearing? And she's like, not really. I'm like, well, they don't care what you're wearing. Just wear what you feel good in. And it's so true that we sit there in front of a mirror and we look and like, oh, should I wear this shirt? Should I wear these shoes? My hair looks terrible. Nobody cares. Really, they don't look at you.
They really don't. And we overanalyze it. We take a look at ourselves and we think that people are going to think different about us or talk behind our back. 9 times out of 10, I mean, nobody is. And that 1%, or that 10%, who cares what they say? Because they're probably not that good of a friend anyway if they're going to say anything. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually, when I see people now dressed just really showing their personality or even crazy in compared to like social norms, I'm like, good for you. Way to get out there and be yourself, because, you're not dressed like everyone else, but I think that's really a good statement that, I'm really secure in how I feel about myself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is great stuff. And this is really, this is called sales and marketing, or marketing and sales over cocktails. But this resonates with anyone that needs to listen to this, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're a mom, a single dad, whatever it is, obviously morning habits and putting yourselves in the right mindset is going to help you. But specifically for my audience here, which are salespeople, marketing people, I get a lot of small business owners, a lot of solopreneurs. Are there any business hacks that you can recommend to help people get them on the right track from a habit forming standpoint, or even put them on a track toward more success?
Absolutely. So I would say this is a missed piece by most productivity books, different pieces. How do you set yourself up for success at night, right? What is that last 30 minutes of your day? So many people just go to sleep and then they're playing defense the moment the alarm clock goes off. Well, I love to say, hey, what's that last 30 minutes look like? Are you preparing for a good night's sleep, right? I coach clients. Guy I was just speaking to this past weekend, he said, I'm having trouble going to sleep. I said, well, are you looking at your phone before you go to bed? Yes. Okay, well, you've got to get blue light blockers, glasses, because that phone stops the natural production of melatonin. Melatonin's that sleep aid to get you to sleep. If you're not setting yourself up for success, for a good night's sleep, if you're not preparing, hey, what am I going to do when I first wake up? You're playing defense. And when you're playing defense the whole day, you're reactionary, right? You're reacting to what's happening rather than dictating, here is what I'm going to do right when I wake up. I know exactly the time I'm going to spend on myself. And I hear so many times, I just don't have enough time. And that is a complete bullshit answer.
Yeah.
Right? We all have the same 24 hours in a day. You just choose to use it differently.
Absolutely.
I recommend preparing the night before, so you know exactly what you're going to do in the morning, and then getting quick wins when you wake up, right? Because that is the time you're the freshest mentally, physically, spiritually. So what can you do right when you first wake up to get these check marks going and get that positive momentum? It's like a train rolling down the train tracks, right? You've got to, if it's got 100 train cars, it's got to use so much energy to get going. And that's your day. Well, if you can start getting it moving by getting those quick wins, once that train's headed down that path to success, regardless of what comes across in your day and stuff's going to happen, you're more equipped to tackle that. And from a solopreneur, business owner, sales perspective, hey, making sure the night before you know exactly what you're going to execute on in your business or the sales calls you got to make and prepare, so the mind can stew through it the night that you're sleeping. And the mind has a great way of kind of working through what you're going to do the next day, if that's what you're thinking about at the end of your day. So just preparing the night before is a critical step.
I couldn't agree more. And I started really, and I'm sure time management is part of that. But, for me, it's like, how many of us sit there and we have our to-do list and we stare at the to-do list, and all it is sort of a churning thing. Like, all right, which one am I going to do? Am I going to do number 6 first, number 2 first? There's the book, Eat the Frog. Do I do the hard one first or the easy ones first? I like what you said, get some wins early on. I really like that. But it's so easy to sit there and like procrastinate. It's like, yeah, I'm going to look at Facebook instead of hopping on that to-do list. And it's so hard. And preparing the night before, I think, has helped me with that. And even when we chatted on your podcast, you actually got me thinking, because you did ask me about a morning routine. And I don't really have, since COVID, the routine has been a little obviously truncated, but you made me realize that I start my day by, I call it customer building. I basically get on LinkedIn for 60 minutes and I just contact and engage with people. And it always gets me excited, and it's never a negative experience. And I didn't realize I was doing something positive until I spoke to you. So that's kind of what I do to get my day going, and with some wins as I engage with people.
Yeah. And that's the critical piece, right? Getting those wins, spending time for yourself in whatever aspect lights you up, and then you create that momentum, and momentum's a powerful thing, right? And if you can control your day from the moment the alarm clock goes off, listen, anxiety lessens, depression, stress, it's all less of a factor in your day because you're in control. And it's just a powerful piece to the puzzle that so many people miss because it's not taught in schools. It's not really talked about. Hey, how do you start off your day? What does that first 30 to 40 minutes look like? And it's just so critical.
So many critical things in life are not taught in schools. Most of them are not taught in schools. Talk about time management and emotional, like attitude. I mean, attitude has got to be one of the huge things I'm sure you talk about is you can't control what's not in your control. You can only control how you react to it. And it's very hard for people to understand that.
It really is. And I know you touched on, Alan, just the phone and checking social media in the morning. And that is probably one of the most difficult things that I have clients go through my 10-week coaching program or men in my mastermind, because they're so used to waking up and checking email or seeing a text message. And I tell them that first 30 to 40 minutes is yours and yours alone. Do not check that stuff. And it's like the tractor beam on the Death Star, like trying to pull that in. And they typically say that is one of the hardest things to do because they're in the habit of doing it, right? That's the first thing they do. Two, to your point, controlling what you can control. If you check the news is inherently negative because they know your mind amplifies anything that is negative 8 to 9 to 10 times more than a positive thing. So they're playing on the negativity principle. Or if you're on social media and you see somebody comment on one of your posts and it kind of is a spur in your side, you're going to fixate on that, and it's going to dwell in your mind where you're going to struggle with staying positive. So no distractions in the morning is very critical, as well as knowing that negativity principle, right? Because again, going back to that caveman brain, the brain sees it as a threat. Now, if somebody posts on a Facebook post that you did, writes a comment and is negative, is that truly a threat? No, but that's the way the mind interprets it. So it amplifies it 8 to 9 times more than anything positive. And you'll fixate on it. And it's very difficult to get past if you're not aware of that principle. Isn't
that fascinating? I find that absolutely fascinating that principle, especially in social media, where you focus on the negative. You could have, this just happened to me. I started a TikTok account and I had thousands. I had one of my 12-year-olds mad at me. One of my videos went viral and I had thousands of positive likes, and I had two guys mad because I stitched it. I did 2 60-second videos instead of one, and they were mad. They had to watch 2 videos. And all I thought about that whole day was, why were they mad at me? Why were they? And I finally realized, like, wow, look at what my mind is doing. It actually blew me away that I ignored literally like 6,000 positive comments and focused on 2 negative ones.
You had that experience, and that's crazy. What the mind will do. And I go back to probably 10, 12 years ago. My wife went out with her girlfriends, had a great night, and I asked her about it. I said, how was your night? Oh, it was great. But one girl said one thing about me and it just ruined my night. That was it, right? It was that negativity principle. You fixate on it. And it's because the mind still thinks you're back in those caveman days. And if you at least have an awareness of it, which you do now, obviously, it's crazy. And I'll give your listeners just a quick strategy to get around
Please.
it. Set a timer on your phone for 3 minutes. Dwell on that. Yell about it, curse, whatever you want. When that alarm clock goes off, that timer, put it into a ball and just throw it out into the universe and be done with it. And move on. And that's just a powerful way to kind of have that timer as a signal. All right, I'm moving on, and I'm going about my day.
I love that. That's great. You know what I did because of that, because I realized what I was doing. Anytime I get something of it, and it may not even be a negative comment, but it's someone that's just, you just can tell that they're just, that's all they do is post negative stuff.
Right.
I read it and I delete it and I block them.
Yep.
And it's just like, wow, they're out of my life. That negativity is sloughed off me and I don't have to worry about it. And it's felt so liberating to do that because other than that, I want to like engage with them. I'm like, what's the problem? Why are you making those comments? I'm like, that's such a waste of energy. So ever since then, delete it, block it, and I'm over it. And it's been really very nice mentally.
Yeah. And I would add to that point, right? Guard your positivity, guard your mindset. Like you would guard your life. Right. And people might say, oh, that's over dramatic. No, that positivity, that energy, it's infectious and it's needed to accomplish amazing things and great things in your life. And if you let something come in that is negative and it ruins your day, it's tough to recover. So I like to really hold that true on a daily basis.
Wow, that's amazing. So you've given us, what is that? I've written them down. So I've got 4 great tips right now, and so does our audience. So let's give me another one that can help from the business side of the world.
Business side from a goal perspective.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yep.
Yeah. A goal, because so many, obviously we're into the new year when this airs, goals are such a big piece to achievement. You've got to track them on a daily basis and you've got to break them up so they're in smaller increments. Because if you look at a goal and maybe you want to do 100,000 push-ups, which I'm doing in 2021. Well, you hear that number and you're like, how the heck are you going to do 100,000 push-ups? Well, if you break it down day by day, I know exactly each day how many push-ups I need to hit that number. And it's 283 or something as a number. That the mind sees that and says, okay, I can do that. Where if you just keep that 100,000 and you don't break it down, hey, what do I need to execute on a daily basis, weekly basis to hit that number? It's just so overwhelming, and overwhelm causes procrastination. It causes you to do something else and not focus on what you're doing. So number one thing I coach clients on is you have goals. You've got to chunk them up, break them up into manageable, pieces where you can, all right, figure out how am I going to do this on a daily basis.
Do you recommend? So I've tried every, what do you call these? The books that you keep track of,
journals, productivity.
Yeah. Productivity books or journals and stuff. I've tried every one that you can find, and I've really never found one that really suits me, but I made one myself. And what I did was I broke my goals into, and this was before obviously talking to you, I had yearly goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, and then the goals for the week. And I wrote those down every Sunday night. I rewrote them, even though the yearly goals were the same. I rewrote them. Is that kind of what you're talking about, to do it that way? Is there a better way to do it than that?
No, I think that's a perfect way to do it, right? Have that big yearly goal, quarterly, monthly. I love Sundays from a set yourself up for success for the week, very similar to the night before. Sunday's a great day because most of the time you're kind of recharging the batteries for the week ahead. What are you going to tackle for the week? And I like to break it down, kind of fitness, personal, professional, and then what's one thing you can do that'll make you uncomfortable, right? Because uncomfortable things are typically where the growth is. So if you do that and then you break it down on a daily basis, you can see that it's doable, it's achievable, and then you just need to execute. You need to take action towards it.
Yeah, you need to do it. And it really has helped, because rewriting that yearly goal every single week, you're writing that 50 times a year, 52 times a year, and you're going to see where you are trying to get to that and what you need to do that month, that quarter to get there. So, one of my goals that I wrote for this year, for 2021, which is, we're recording this before that, but I wrote that I'm going to Africa. I've had that on my bucket list for years, and it's been sitting there, and I've never done anything about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it this year. And I wrote it down, and I have my plan now. And what got me there, and I'm going to give you a plug as a coach, because I think coaching is so incredibly important. And I think many people don't understand how important having your own coach is. And I started chatting with one recently, and she was the one who kind of kicked me in the ass. And she's like, so you've been wanting to go to Africa for 10 years. So what are you going to wait 11 years, 12 years? Like, and it just her saying that little simple sentence was like, you're right. Why have I not gone? And so for the folks who are listening, I highly recommend getting a coach, getting a performance coach, a life coach, whatever, someone that you can talk to on a regular basis to keep you accountable, keep you on the right path. And, Jeff right here is one that I'm sure you can reach out to, but talk about the importance of coaching and what that means in someone's life, especially in business. So
you had alluded to it, Alan, accountability, right? And back to when we started, the 94% that don't complete a course or don't follow through, it comes down to accountability. That's it. So having a coach allows somebody else to speak to you about what you want to do, and just that conversation. What are you waiting for, right? The uncomfortable goal I have in 2021 is to go skydiving. Well, one of the guys in my group said, "Oh, I didn't do it in 2020." I said, "Let's do it together," right? So it's that accountability piece is so critical, and having somebody else be able to give a different perspective. And I always tell people, it's tough to read the label when you're inside the bottle, right? And you're living in day to day. It's tough to see where somebody else has a different perspective and can say, "Hey, maybe this is why you haven't done it. Try this strategy." And then the light bulb goes off and you can move and take action. And it's pretty powerful to have those coaches, those high achievers, those people that have practiced actually what they're talking to you about or teaching you about or coaching you about. That's just so invaluable. And I didn't know that until 4 years ago when I opened up my gym and started getting coaches, mentors, and really helped move the needle exponentially in my business, in my life, because I had that accountability, and I gained their experience through being in groups and surrounded by like-minded people that really want to move the needle on a daily basis.
It really is amazing stuff. And yeah, I mean, and this was an hour and a half conversation, and it changed everything for my 2021, goals and perspectives, because she was 1,000% right. There were some things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And when she said, "Well, why haven't you done it?" And I came up with the normal excuses of this and that and kids and blah, blah. She goes, "Well, I respectfully call bullshit," is what she told me.
I love it.
And so it was good stuff. So, well, that's going to be a good segue to the Ask Alan segment. We've got a really good question. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Jeff, we've got a gentleman from Battle Creek, Michigan named Lewis. And he wants to know, entering 2021, can you share some motivational techniques that can help me with my business and with my personal life? So that is his question, and you are the perfect person to ask. So how would you answer Lewis on that one?
So first, surround yourself with a positive environment. And a couple ways to do that is constantly be listening to, positive books, or YouTube's a great, I listen to YouTube, and it can be David Goggins, Jocko Willenick, Tony Robbins in the shower. I'm listening to motivational speakers as much as I can throughout the day, because then you're inherently getting that inspiration, that motivation. Back to the point that I touched on earlier, if you're watching the news, it's all negative, but one story on Friday nights, so the last piece to the news. So surround yourself with that type of environment. Feed your mind with that type of positivity, that energy. There's so much out there from a learning perspective, from a just motivational perspective. So that would be number one. Number two, obviously, put it out into public what you're going to do, because then you're going to be that much more accountable. And then get someone to hold you accountable, get someone to hold you to the fire. And if you do those three things, you're going to have a lot of positive momentum. And then once that motivation compels you to act, you're going to get inspired, you're going to get more motivated. And like I said before, it's just going to kind of be that loop that feeds on itself. It can feed on itself negatively, or it can feed on itself positively. So surround yourself with that energy, guard your positive energy like you'd guard your life. And just we live in the greatest time from a technology perspective ever in the history of the world. There's so much things that you can get from your phone to feed your mind, listen to, and inspire and motivate you on a daily basis.
And I would add to that, I'm not a motivator coach, but I do practice motivation. I have part of my book about that. But one of the things that I like to talk about is know who you are as a person, and trust that. I use the example in my book of a firefly. Like fireflies have always been my favorite insects because I just always thought it was really cool that they could light themselves up whenever they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
they'd light themselves up to see where they're going, or they light themselves up to find a mate. But they always lit themselves up because they could. I'm like, that's what I tell my daughters. I'm like, shine your light. Like I actually have my license plate says Firefly. And when I first got that, they're like, why is that? I'm like, because you should always shine your light whenever you can. Everyone has their own light. So when you do that, when you put yourself in that positive place, I'm a big believer in the universe will you just send that stuff out to the universe, it's going to come back to you. So if you live in that happy place, you light yourself up, good things will happen. So
yeah,
that would be how
I completely agree. And I would just add the other piece as you were talking through it. Do something physical. Right. We are meant to move as a human species. And if you do something physical, even if it's going for a walk outside for 10 minutes every morning, you're going to be inspired by that. Right. That's an action you're taking. You're going to get inspiration, motivation, and it's going to fuel you throughout your day. So if you can move in the morning physically, do something, and that will give you some tremendous natural energy. As the blood flows, the endorphins rush the body, the happiness hormone, that'll definitely help as well.
Jeff, this has been awesome stuff. So for the audience, it's Jeff Wickersham. Jeff, if anyone wants to contact you about coaching or anything at all, how can they find you?
Absolutely. They can drop me a line, email at jeff@themorningfire.com. They can go out to themorningfire.com. I've got links to my podcast out there, my book, as well as some motivational information and nuggets that they can grab as well.
So you do have tell me about your book before we say so long.
Absolutely. So it's called Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat. That's my mantra on a daily basis that I live by, kind of rising like a phoenix, reborn each day, fighting for your physical, mental, nutritional fitness, loving yourself most importantly, and then you can love all those around you. And then just that repetition piece, right? Hardwiring those habits for success. So it's Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. And it's out on Amazon from an ebook and a paperback perspective. Awesome.
Congratulations from one author to another. I know what it takes to write a book. So congratulations to you to get that out. So I am definitely going to order a copy because I see it right behind you over your left shoulder. So good stuff. Well, Jeff Wickersham, I really appreciate you joining me today. This has been really good stuff. I know everyone is going to take a lot out of this because it's not all about sales and marketing. It's about mental toughness and preparation, and all of that comes before that, because you can't be a good salesperson. You can't be a good marketer if you're not, good to yourself. So absolutely. Jeff, thanks for joining me. Here's one more cheers. And
all right, I'll get it. Alan, thanks for having me. Pleasure.
You're welcome. And we will talk soon. And that's a wrap, everyone, on Marketing and Sales Over Cocktails. This was episode number 37. We want to thank everyone for joining us. And remember the Ask Alan segment. Send me a question through the website, marketingandsalespodcast.com. And just like Lewis from Battle Creek, Michigan, you will get a free autographed copy of my book. Take care, everyone. We will see you next time.